Today gamers, we're going to be jumping into a bit more Diablo 4 and I'm going to be giving you my top 3 picks for those enchantment slots for your sorcerer or sorceress. If you want to be able to do a lot of damage and have a lot of fun whilst you play, then these can really help you out. So if that interests you, that's coming up next. Welcome back everybody. Today I'm going to be diving into a little bit of Diablo 4. I've spent an absolute abundance of gold in this game, respecking, resetting all my options, testing everything out, and there's 3 choices that I think are really good for your enchantment slots. Now don't get me wrong, in the perfect setup a lot of them will work, and it can definitely depend on what element you enjoy most, but I found these 3 to be absolutely amazing. So kicking it off with the first one, and we're going to go straight over here. If you're into pyromancy, then Fireball is going to be the ideal choice, as it's going to allow you to do a lot of ad clearing throughout your campaign, and just taking out multi-targets in general. The enchantment effect for this, when you kill an enemy, they will explode in a fireball worth 50% of its actual damage. If you're putting a lot of investment into your fireball, then this is really going to pay dividends here, as it makes you clear ads very fast. Don't forget, you're also going to have the enhancements, so the enhanced fireball, its radius is now going to be up to 50%, and the destructive fireball, fireball's explosions critical strike damage is increased by 10%. Each enemy it hits increases this bonus by 5% up to 25% total. Now one skill that I found worked hand in hand with this is definitely the Hydra. These are probably one of the most overpowered things in the game currently. They do a lot of damage, they're great in pretty much any sorcerer build. Even if you're not going down the pyromancy tree, these can work a treat, as you're going to summon a 3-headed Hydra for a set amount of time that does quite a chunky bit of damage, because they spit out fire very often. Also with its upgrades, when you're healthy, which is above 80% of your health, you pretty much always will be unless you're in trouble, you're going to get an additional Hydra head, allowing them to do even more damage. And lastly, depending on what you want, you could either go down the summoned Hydra path, meaning that enemies will take an additional 12% of their damage over 6 seconds, or the invoked Hydra. After you critically strike, the Hydra is going to gain a 30% critical chance for 3 seconds. So again, working hand with what we had earlier, if you're going very crit orientated, these Hydras will be an absolute blessing and are able to nuke single and multi-targets very fast. And like you're about to see in the footage, because they take out enemies so quickly, they then activate that enchantment of the fireball, and you'll have enemies popping left, right and centre. Next up, and jumping straight away from your flame or pyromancy and going into your frost, we're going to kick it off with ice blades. Ice blades are just so good in this game, they really are, and the enchantment effect by them is one of the best by a long way. For every 20 seconds in cooldown you spend, you're going to spawn an ice blade on a random enemy. These can spawn in abundance in the right builds, and with the right playstyle they'll be doing a significant amount of damage, as well as being able to apply that all important vulnerable, giving you 20% extra damage on things. Now their enhancement ice blades means the cooldown is reduced by 1 second each time it hits a vulnerable enemy. Once you start stacking these up, you're going to see this happen quite a bit, and you're going to be able to put out even more because of it. Again, for the final stage of the tree, we've got invoked ice blades. If you want your ice blades to gain 10% increase attack speed per ice blade does that, or if you want to centre it a little bit more so around your entire build, then summoned ice blades means 50% of the ice blades cooldown reduction is going to be applied to your other skills. But ultimately putting this in your enchantment slot, and it's going to be very good against those single targets, but also numerous foes in the right builds. The only prerequisite I'd say with this, it works hand in hand with anything that's got a cooldown, so make sure you're looking at skills and you've got skills on your bar that that do require cooldowns, otherwise if you're just using the blades on your bar, it's probably not going to be used to its full potential. Things like your ultimates have very high cooldown, so this means you're going to be pumping out those blades, as well as some of your defensive skills like your teleports, your ice armor and your flame armor. And again, I'm going to jump in, show you what it's all about. Lastly, and this is probably going to get me in trouble by everyone who loves electricity because I have kind of skipped it a little bit. If there's an enchantment based around shock that you really enjoy playing or you think I've missed it off, then let me know in the comments. I found it a little bit harder to put together as sometimes they need armour or even being able to apply stun, which is quite limited on Sorcerer. Whereas these three I've picked are ideal and easy to put on any build. And for this one I'm chucking on a defensive one. And for that, we're going to be using the Flame Shield. The reason this is such a good pick is because if you're ever struggling with the content, or if you're at high levels and you're really worried about getting one shot because you've made a complete glass cannon, then Flame Shield may be a viable option. This way you won't have to put any defensive things on your bar, and it will act as a kind of second life because it's going to activate when you take your fatal damage. So instead of you completely falling over, you're going to pop this shield and you're going to have a chance to survive. The great thing about this, the enhancements, the first one gives you 25% movement speed, allowing you to get away from danger, and for the end one I would definitely recommend Shimmering Flame Shield. Flame Shield heals you for 50% of your missing life. Now when it pops, it gives you a nice fighting chance because you can run fast and you get half your health back. So if I just jump into an encounter here and try to get hit in the face a lot, I completely forgot I'm invulnerable in there, so we're going to get outside. And now as you can see, half health back, a little bit of mobility, and you're able to fight, whereas before you would have been completely on the ground. In my eyes, definitely one to watch out for if you're playing very glass cannony and want a little bit more offensive stuff on your bar. But yeah, let me know in the comments what ones are you enjoying using for your enchantment slots and what element are you enjoying most. As always, for all things gaming, take care. I'll see you on the next day.